Okay, we are doing grammar, is it? So today we will be doing relative clauses. I have already updated the topic you must have seen before joining. So today we are doing relative clauses. Okay, you must have heard relative pronoun, and with the use of relative pronouns they form relative clauses. So everybody be attentive, take the things and take part in discussion. So we are in grammar learning. So concept grammar learning. So relative clauses. Today's our grammatical item is relative clauses. So there in the side you see the relative pronouns. Some of them are given there, like who, whom, whose, which, that, what, where, when. This can be used as a relative pronoun. Among these, except that, other words are question words also. These words are used to make questions also, is it? But they are not always question words. They are sometimes, they work as a pronoun and relative pronouns to relate, to join the clauses in the sentence. So they are used as a relative pronouns also. With them the relative clauses are found. So relative clauses are dependent clauses which define or explain a noun. Relative clauses are dependent clauses. Okay, dependent and independent, you know. So sometimes if the sentence contains more than one clause, okay, clause means it's a part of a sentence. Clause has its own subject, verb, predicate also, and another clause, and altogether it becomes a bit complex sentence. Simple sentence and a bit complex sentence. To make complex sentence, clauses are used. And if there are dislike clauses, some clauses will be dependent clauses, some clauses will be independent clauses. Okay, or in another word you say main clause or subordinate clause. Somewhere you may find this way also. So relative clauses are dependent clauses which define or explain a noun. We define, explains a noun. Okay. So relative clauses are sometimes called adjective clauses. Adjective, they define noun, they explain noun, they add extra meaning to noun, they verify noun. That's why they can be taken as adjective clauses also. You know, adjective comes with a noun or just before noun and qualifies or describe noun. Like that, the clause also does so. So that's why sometimes these are called adjective clauses and follow the noun which they describe. Follow the noun. The noun they follow and which they describe. So relative clauses start with relative pronouns. Relative clauses start with relative pronouns. This who, whom, whose, which, that, what, where, when. This like. With this pronouns, the relative clauses start. Okay. So students, did you note down them?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good. So a relative clause is a subordinate clause. Okay, I already told you, subordinate clause that modifies a noun or a noun phrase. In different place, in different way you can find. So it can be as an adjective clause also. It can be described as a subordinate clause. Subordinate, when you say, then main clause will be there and subordinate clause. Okay, that modifies a noun or a noun phrase. Sometimes there will be noun or noun phrase also will be there. With a noun, if there are more than one word, that can be noun phrase. Okay. So here you have got one example. The man who is smoking is the murderer. Okay. So the man is here noun, and just after man there is who is smoking that has come. This is who is smoking is subordinate clause here. Okay, the noun is modified by the relative clause who is smoking. Man, only when you say man, it is not known who is, who the man is not known. So who is smoking when it is added there, and that particular man who at the moment of speaking which is smoking. So the man is the murderer is the main clause. Who is smoking is subordinate clause. So who is smoking, this subordinate clause here is a relative clause. This qualifies the noun. Okay, noun, which noun? The man. This modified, qualifies, describe, gives extra meaning, whatever you say is the same. So relative clauses give essential information to define or identify the person or thing we are talking about. So relative clauses, what do they do? Relative clauses give essential information. Relative clauses give essential information to define or identify the person or thing we are talking about. Okay? So essential information which qualifies, which describes, which modifies, okay, or which gives the more identity, helps to define this. Okay. Relative clauses are used for this. Okay. So did you note down these lines?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So next, you see, so relative clauses, how to use relative clauses? They are used to provide extra information. We already talked that to modify, to give the meaning, to qualify, to give extra information. So there we can see two types. Okay. Defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses. In the side you see defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses. So these two types will be there. First one, the defining relative clauses we will be practicing at the moment. Non-defining is you will study later in higher levels. However, see the with example you have to understand at least. So defining relative clauses that define something. Okay, defining relative clauses that define something. So see the example there. The girl who is standing there is a world champion in karate. Look, so the girl is a world champion in karate is the main clause, but only with this the meaning is not clearly communicated. It's not understood. So the girl means who the girl is to be defined. Then who is standing there? at the time of speaking, standing there. So indicating, okay, defining. This way it is defining relative clause. It defines who is standing, defines the girl. Okay, so who is standing there is a relative clause. In other word, you can say this is adjective clause. In another word, you can say this is subordinate clause. Okay, and the girl is a world champion in karate is the main clause. Okay, so this who is standing there has come to define the girl. That's why it is relative clause. It relates the another clause, main clause, and this subordinate clause, main clause, and this adjective clause. Okay, so always you need to use such kind of clauses just after the noun. Suppose if you say the girl is a world champion in karate, who is standing there? If you say this way, it is not the right structure. This way it will not be. The girl, after the girl who is standing there, that must come there. Then only it is known that this clause defines this noun. So this is defining relative clause. So students, I again remind you that so nobody will try to move forward, backward, or will toss the screen and do anything else. If you need to speak for unmute, unmute, you toss your screen, otherwise don't toss. So number two, non-defining relative clause. Another is non-defining relative clause. So this provides unnecessary but interesting information. Without this information also it is known, but the information which is given, that is interesting one. Get something extra meaning. Okay. So here is one example. Michael Jackson, who was a famous singer, died of an overdose. You must have heard or known that because of the overdose of his medicine, he died. So here Michael Jackson died of an overdose is the main clause. Who was a famous singer is the subordinate clause, or who was a famous singer is the relative clause. It starts with the relative pronoun who. Now you compare the girl who is standing there in is a world champion in karate, and Michael Jackson, who was a famous singer, died of an overdose. So do you notice any difference in these two sentences? Anybody please? Tell me if you notice any difference in the structure or something there. Students, I'm asking you, just you tell what's the difference you find in these two sentences. Isn't there anyone to tell?
सर फर्स्ट को एक्जाम्पलमा चाहिँ द गर्ल भनेको सेकेन्डको एक्जाम्पलमा चाहिँ त्यसको नाम भनेन
Is this a Nepali class? Huh?
सर
Communicating in Nepali? Huh? So communicate in English. Michael Jackson is that girl. You have not heard about this one of the famous singer. Not a girl. Look, in the first sentence, first example, there you don't find commas. Are there comma? After the girl, is there comma? No. But in second, after Michael Jackson, there is comma. Did you notice? Who was a famous singer? Again, comma there is. Died of an overdose. So if this way, if the clauses are separated by commas, understand? If there are commas, it is non-defining relative clause. If there are no commas, then this is defining relative clause. One way for you to recognize. And another is that in the first sentence, the girl is a common noun here. The girl means girl, any girl can be there. Is a world champion in karate. Okay, when somebody says a girl is a world champion in karate, then the listener may not understand who is the girl talking about. Whom about talking? How to know? That's why. Who is standing there? It has come there to describe the girl. Then only the listener, hey, that girl? Ah, yes, yes. That girl is the world champion in karate. Oh, yeah, I know. Like this, one can say. Understand? But that is defining relative clause is used there. And in the second, tell Vishal, are you saying something? If you are saying, say, otherwise mute. Uh, and in second number, Michael Jackson. When somebody says Michael Jackson, this is the famous name. Everybody knows. So Michael Jackson died of an overdose. If somebody said, it is understood. And if wants to add extra meaning, who was a famous singer also, that is better. Some extra information. Okay. So without saying who was a famous singer also, everybody knows that Michael Jackson was the one of the famous singer. Everybody knows, and that celebrity, that great singer, the famous singer, died of an overdose. This is known. That's why where there it is not necessary, okay, to give this information. Without information also it is known. In this case we use non-defining relative clause, and this non-defining relative clauses are separated by comma. Defining relative clauses are not separated by comma. So now, uh, right now, you just understand that if it is separated by comma, that is non-defining relative clause, and if it is not separated by comma, this is defining relative clause. This is very primary thing, and you just understand this much, then it works. Okay. Did you note down this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now go to the next. So relative clauses can be introduced by, how relative clause can be introduced? Introduced, can be shown, introduced. A relative pronoun with a relative pronoun like who, whom, which, that, which. So with the relative pronoun, it can be introduced in the sentence. So example, the man who is standing there is a famous writer. Who is standing there is here, which is underlined and it started with who, relative pronoun. So this way with relative pronoun it can be introduced. Okay, it can be introduced when it's relative pronoun. And sometimes with relative adverb also, not always pronoun, but sometimes with the relative adverb also, that can be introduced. That can start, relative clause can start with the relative adverb also, where, why, and when. This like if these are used, these are adverbs. Okay, so example, you see the restaurant where I have dinner is nice. The restaurant where I have dinner is nice. Okay, the restaurant where, place, it is, the restaurant is a place. So where, just after restaurant there is where, it is used after this, but where I have dinner. Okay, so where did I have dinner? The restaurant. That's why it is, its relation is with verb also. Okay, that's why it is adverb. If relation is with only with noun, that is adjective. If relation is with verb, that is adverb. So where I have dinner is nice. This way also can be. Or sometimes none of them, without any relative pronoun also there can be clause. Like the man I met is extremely wealthy. The man I met, the man I met is clause there, but there is no any relative pronoun or relative adverb. However, this is clause. The man is extremely wealthy is the main clause. I met, this is subordinate clause. So this way also it can be. Okay. So these are the three different ways. So sometimes omission, without relative noun also the relative clauses they sometimes form. Okay. So did you take this with the examples? Relative clauses are relative
Yes,
noun,
sir.
adverb, and none of them. Okay. Good. So now relative clauses in particular we are talking in short we are talking here. So who, first one is who, subject or object pronoun for people. Who is used for people, only for the person. Okay. So either as a subject it is used or as an object it is used, only for the people. They caught the lady who left her baby. They caught the lady who left her baby. Look, who is their relative noun and who left her baby is a relative clause, and this is just after the lady. Okay, so it is here subjective, who left her baby, so subject. Okay, and they cut the lady. Whom did they cut? Who the lady was?
Lady.
Who left her baby? Okay, must have left her baby. That is, so this way it is relative clause, and there who for person, the lady after just after the person who. So whenever we use this who, whom, which, this its relation with the person, and just after that we have to use this. And another which, subject or object pronoun. This also can be used as subject or object pronoun, which for the uh, things, animals, or places. I read the book which is on the table. I read the book. I read. Okay. So which is on the table. So which is on the table is a relative pronoun here, and which is relative clause, and which is relative pronoun, and which that object book. Okay, book is uh, described here. So just after the book which is on the table is there. Like I visited the town which you told me about. Object. Okay. I visited the town which you told me about. Okay. So told me about. So this town is a place, but where is not used here. Here it is used which. Why? Which you told me about. The structure, from the structure you see something different. Okay. So this way which for subject or object it can be used. Okay. So second one, this is object. In a sentence structure the objective form, and first one which is on the table is the subject there. But the book is object, for that object it is talking about, but the real object, thing object, and the subject verb object is something different. Okay, you have to understand it's language items. So next, sometimes which referring to a whole sentence is used. They were unsuccessful, which is disappointing. So referring to whole sentence, this is they were unsuccessful, which is disappointing. Which is disappointing, they were unsuccessful. This refers to whole sentence. This way also which is used. Okay. Did you take them?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next, home. Used for object pronoun for people, especially in non-restrictive relative clauses. In restrictive relative clauses, use who. In restrictive clauses, we use who, and non-restrictive, uh, whom. The boy whom you told me about got the best grades in mathematics. Okay. The boy, just after the boy, whom you told me about. Okay, whom you told me about. This is a object pronoun. Whom got the best grades in mathematics. So this way, whom can be used. Likely that subject or object pronoun for people, animals, sometimes for people, especially which and that are for things, animals, okay, but sometimes can be used with the persons also. So animals and things in restrictive relative clauses, who or which are also possible. Where who, that is person then who, and where that is used there, which also can be used. Okay, so I like the vase that is over there. Okay, I like the vase, you know, vase, flower vase, where we keep flower for the decoration. So the vase, I like the vase that is over there. Okay, so that is over there. So here vase object, so which is over there, this way also it can be used. Okay, and that, yeah, that is preferable one. So this way that is used. Did you take? Students, please.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Now relative adverbs. That we talked adverb, pronoun and adverb. Adverb. Well, referring to a place. To refer a place. The restaurant where I usually have dinner is nice. Okay. So adverb. The restaurant where I usually have dinner. Where I usually have dinner. Where I usually have dinner. Have a dinner. So this action. Okay. Is nice. Okay. So here it refers to a place and it works as adverb. Okay. Relative adverb. So while talking about the place, just after the place we use where. While talking about person, just after the person we use who. While talking about the things, just after the thing we use which or that. You remember, you keep in mind these things. Likely when, referring to a time. When means time, yes? It refers time. So there are times when I feel so lonely. There are times when I feel so lonely. When, as a relative adverb, it is there. So when I feel so lonely, this time and here. And similarly, why, referring to a region. Where, place, when, time, and why, reason. Okay, reason, why, to tell the reason. This is why she refused the offer. This is why she refused the offer. Okay. This way the relative adverbs are used. Okay. Did you write?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we talked about relative clauses, some relative pronouns, and some examples, some structures we talked. Is it? So what are the relative pronouns? Once anybody please tell some examples of relative pronouns. Anyone please? What you understood? You tell. What are relative pronouns? Okay, Vishruta, I'm asking you. Are you there? Vishruta Thapa, are you there? No response. Okay, somebody next. Please tell. What are the relative pronouns? Okay, somebody next can. Anyone please? Isha. Okay, you can say then.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Relative pronouns.
Mm.
Who, whom, whose, with, that, what, where, when.
Mm. Okay. And how do you understand or how do you recognize the relative clause?
Relative clause start with relative pronouns.
Mm. Good. Okay, the clause
Relative
starts. Yeah, good, good. Go on. Tell.
relative clause are dependent clause
Mm.
with defined noun.
Mm.
Example: the girl who is dancing is my sister.
Yeah, good, good, very good. Thank you very much. Okay, so now there is one small exercise. So you will be doing this exercise. Everybody copy down the questions on your exercise copy and you uh, fill in the gaps with appropriate relative pronouns. It is so simple. So everybody do this exercise. First copy down all questions and then do, and who first finishes all 10, I will get chance to tell. Everybody sincerely do. I have seen somebody left. So don't leave. Do the things. And I suggest everybody to be to all the time until the class runs. As soon as you finish, you notice me. I finish. The writing must be very much good one, and the word, the relative pronoun which you feel that must be underlined. And among class 8 students there is problem. So I waited in the beginning up to 7-6. There are only 10 of you, and later on there reached up to 24 also. Yeah, then maybe 23 also. And again now there are 21 only. So as you like you come, as you like you go, and as you like the time. So what should students do is that if 7 class starts, means before 7 you should have preparation there. You should be ready and you should open this Microsoft team, and when teacher joins and then only join. But don't be late. Many of you are being late. What's that? What time do you get up? You are getting up late. Whenever you finish, you notice me, okay? And who first finishes with the answer will get chance to tell. In question number 3, that goat G small, okay? There while typing it became capital, it capitalized there. So you write this goats G small, okay? There G capital is not necessary. Finished anyone? Did you finish? Whoever, anyone finished? Hmm. Okay, the first one, he is the man. What pronoun there? What relative pronoun? Sells meat which is always
Who?
fresh. Who sells meat which is always fresh. Okay. The man came here was honest.
Who came here?
Who came here was honest. Okay. Kalu goats were eaten by the tiger learned a good lesson. What is there?
Kalu and goats were eaten by the tiger, learned a good lesson.
Kalu. What relative pronoun you said?
And
Kalu. Goats goats. Okay. Goats eaten by the tiger learned a good lesson. Okay. The man
Whom?
whom you spoke.
uh, the man whom you spoke in the bus is my uncle. The pencil
Which
is
Its
is on the table is mine.
yeah. So somebody is trying to do something. The pencil which is on the table is mine. Okay, and I was walking in my field. The time took place.
Where?
When
Where?
when I
I.
was walking in the field when the crime took place. Somebody is trying to do something else there, and then I was walking in my field when the crime took place. Okay, I was walking, that is action going on, and then when time it is when the crime took place. I know the home my father was born. What is
Where
that?
my
Where?
father.
Yeah.
Where my father.
Where my father.
Okay. And the time I usually get up is 4:30 a.m.
The time when.
The time when
When? Okay, when I usually get up is 4:30 a.m. She gave the children they liked.
that they like.
She gave the children what they like. Your what, okay? What they liked. Could you tell me she was absent yesterday?
Why she was a.
Yeah, why she was absent yesterday. So got all 10 answers?
Yes, sir.
Good. So So we come to the end today's topic. So thank you very much. And students,